Today we're gonna talk about Amor Fati, which is some new thing. I don't know what's going on there. Maybe this is solving the problem. Well, anyway, we're gonna talk about Amor Fati. Amor Fati basically means love of fate, as you can see in the first phrase here. The link to this article is going to be down in the description, and also to the other article that I think that I'm going to go through is also going to be down in the description. I have found out about this phrase, about this saying, if you want to call it like that, very recently, and I love it. And this is also one of the reasons why I even just have a single episode for this only thing, Amor Fati. So, love of fate, and I'm gonna read this little article, is a Latin phrase that may be translated as love of fate or love of one's fate. It is used to describe an attitude in which one sees everything that happens in one's life, including suffering and loss, as good or at least necessary. Amor Fati is often associated with what Friedrich Nietzsche called eternal recurrence, the idea that over an infinite period of time, everything recurs infinitely. From this, he developed a desire to be willing to live exactly the same life over and over for all eternity. And there's a quote, long for nothing more frequently than this ultimate eternal confirmation and seal. Why I like it? Because there is actually quite a lot of reasons to appreciate whatever situation you're in. Whether it is a good one, whether it is a bad one, but I'm most often or mostly referring to bad situations because I think this just makes sense to remind yourself of the fact that, okay, this is my faith, it is what it is. I can live with it, I can be happy with it, I can just try to make the best out of it, or I can be just really miserable and sad and whatnot. It's up to you. You know, your faith is your faith, it is what it is. And how you're responding to it is the key and is what is just that point, you know. You can react to it in a very negative way, you can be sad, you can be just whatever, but it can also be just accepting, quote unquote, it, which is a very difficult thing to do, of course, and or at least just as they say, see it as a necessary thing, or just, well, I do not even want to say that you should think about it as something that's necessary, but something that it is, it is just what it is. It is the fact. It is what it is. You can do things about things. You can alter some things, but you can't change everything. You are not in control of everything, and realizing that and knowing that is a really important thing indeed, because we are not in control of everything. There's a ton of things that we just can't control, especially when it comes to other people, but we can control how we think about things. So Nietzsche in particular, the concept of Amor Fati has been linked to Epictetus. It has also been linked to the writings of Marcus Aurelius, who did not use the words he wrote in Greek and not Latin. However, it found its most explicit expression in Nietzsche, who made love of fate central to his philosophy. In Why Am I So Clever? Ecce Homo, section 10, he writes, my formula for greatness in a human being is Amor Fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity, not merely bear what is necessary, still less conceal it. All idealism is a mendacity in the face of what is necessary, but love it. The phrase is used elsewhere in Nietzsche's writing and is representative of the general outlook on life that he articulates in section 276 of The Gay Science. I want to learn more and more to see as beautiful what is necessary in things. And then I shall be one of those who makes things beautiful. Amor Fati, let that be my love. Henceforth, I do not want to wage war against what is ugly. I do not want to accuse. I do not even want to accuse those who accuse. Looking away shall be my only negotiation, all in one, and all in all, and on the whole, someday I wish to be only a yes-sayer. Nietzsche in this context refers to the yes-sayer, not in a political or social sense, but as a person who is capable of uncompromising acceptance of reality per se, which is or can be, I think, a cool thing, period. Suffering. Nietzsche's love of fate naturally leads him to confront the reality of suffering in a radical way. For to love that which is necessary demands not only that we love the bad along with the good, but that we view the two as inextricably linked. In section 3 of the preface of The Gay Science, he writes, only great pain is the ultimate liberator of the spirit. I doubt that such pain makes us, quote unquote, better, but I know that it makes us more profound. Nietzsche does not promise suffering as good in itself, promote suffering as good in itself, but rather as a precondition for good. A single moment of good justifies an eternity of bad, but one extreme cannot have meaning without the other. In Will to Power, he writes, "For nothing is self-sufficient, neither in us ourselves nor in things, and if our soul has trembled with happiness and sounded like harp string just once, all eternity was needed to produce this one event, and in this single moment of affirmation, all eternity was called good, redeemed, justified, and affirmed." Yeah, I just really truly also believe in it. Amor Fati. I would actually rather say like it is what it is. Amor Fati. This is your faith. You can live with it, but you can also not live with it. It's up to you. Modern development. Camus. The French philosopher Albert Camus spoke of a desire to accept and even come to love a difficulty along with ease, or at least to not ignore it. In the myth of Sisyphus, Return to Tipasa, he writes, "What else can I decide than to exclude nothing and to learn how to braid with wild thread and black thread a single cord stretched to the breaking point." Camus, like Nietzsche, held his embrace of fate to be central to his philosophy and to life itself. Summarizing his general view of life in the above work, Camus further spoke of, quote unquote, "a will to live without rejecting anything of life, which is the virtue I honor most in this world." There's even some culture references. See also agonism, destiny, fatalism, eternal return, Nietzschean affirmation, Stoicism, thus spoke Zarathustra, and the sixth extinction to Amor Fati. But I do want to point out those cultural references. Louis British TV show episode Beyond Good and Evil Part 1, the term is shown on a t-shirt worn conspicuously by a young acolyte of the convicted perpetrator who killed 3 policemen and who spent 13 years in a mental hospital but was then cleared. The acolyte is told by the perpetrator that he is now the accused, having killed 1 policeman and attacked another. As police come for him, the story resolved in Part 2. Canadian DJ Deadmau5 displayed this term in a concert while playing the song Bleed, which was dedicated to a fan of his who tragically died in a car crash on his way to Deadmau5's concert. Fuck, man. Dark, which is a TV series, reference it throughout the series along with Nietzsche's eternal recurrence. Norwegian metal band, Peccatum, titled their 2000 album Amor Fati. Artist Washed Out composed the song Amor Fati, in which he looks encouraged the listener to embrace a loving, stoic view of their life. And last but not least, Amazon Prime show Patal Lok is a story which illustrates this concept. In this show, the hero will, while navigating abundant ugliness and suffering of the world, gets enlightened and empowered by realizing Amor Fati. He is set free by the realization that most important part of his life is his daily duties. However, mired in misery, it also source of life's beauty. Yeah. But there's another article. So this is the Wikipedia article, and there's also a Daily Stoic article, The formula for human greatness, or the immense power of learning to love your fate. What should I take? I'm going to take the first one. Maybe I'm even going to go through both of them. It depends on how long they are. Why is everything so fucking slow today? I'm actually a little bit concerned that I'm having issues with performance things. But yeah, Amor Fati, the great formula for human greatness. Yeah. The great German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche would describe his formula for human greatness as Amor Fati, a love of fate. That one wants nothing to be different, not forward, not backward, not in all eternity, not merely bow where it is necessary, still less conceal it, but love it. The Stoics were not only familiar with this attitude, but they embraced it. 2000 years ago, writing in his own personal journal, which would become known as Meditations, Emperor Marcus Aurelius would say, "A blazing fire makes flame and brightness out of everything that is thrown into it." Another Stoic, Epictetus, who as a crippled slave has faced adversity after adversity, echoed the same. Do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather wish that what happens happen the way it happens, then you will be happy. It is why Amor Fati is the Stoic mindset that you take on for making the best out of anything that happens, treating each and every moment, no matter how challenging, as something to be embraced and not avoided. To not only be okay with it, but love it and better for it, and be better for it. So that like oxygen to a fire, obstacles and adversity become fuel to your potential, whatever it might be, whether it is something good or whether it is something bad. But of course, you and or we need to be able to see the potentially enhancing capabilities of bad situations or bad scenarios that we are probably going to find ourselves in from time to time. When we accept what happens to us after understanding that certain things, particularly bad things, are outside of our control, we are left with this. Loving whatever happens to us and facing it with unfailing cheerfulness and strength, as best-selling author Robert Greene, 48 Laws of Power Mastery, has put it, we need to, quote-unquote, accept the fact that all events occur for a reason and that it is within your capacity to see this reason as positive. Amor Fati prompts us to say, we will put our energies and emotions and exertions only where they will have real impact. This is that place we will tell ourselves, this is what I've got to do or put up with. Well, I might as well be happy about it. Because you can still be unhappy, of course. You can still be miserable and fucked up and angry and whatnot, but it is not going to change fucking anything. So the goal is not, I'm okay with this, not, I think I feel good about this, but I feel great about it because if it happened, then it was meant to happen. And I'm glad that it did when it did, and I'm going to make the best out of it. And proceed to do exactly that. If the event must occur, Amor Fati is the response. Yes, it is a little unnatural to allow things we never wanted to happen in the first place, but what other worse adversities might this one be saving us from? What might we learn from this unchosen experience? What good, equally unexpected events might result from it? We knew that in retrospect, we often look back at difficult times fondly, almost wistfully, so we might as well feel that now. That is not to say that the good will always outweigh the bad. Still, embrace all of it. Don't wish for it to be any different. You don't have to like it, to work with it, to use it to your advantage. Amor Fati, a love of what happens because that is your only option. Daily Stoic is excited to announce in collaboration with author Robert Greene the Amor Fati medallion. It is available now and you can use it each and every day as a reminder of this attitude of resilience and impenetrability and whatnot. You can order yours here and it costs $26. View product. I do want to check out whether it is actual gold or something. Each coin is handcrafted in the United States by a custom mint operating in Minnesota since 1882. The same mint where the iconic AA Adversity medallions were created in 1973 by Bill Westman, an employee. Westman wanted to create something to love. Well, each coin is shipped in a custom designed box with an accompanied information card explaining the practice to anyone receiving the coin. Each coin has a unique finish and character. 26.2 grams. We ship worldwide. North American orders are shipped from the US and the rest of the world from the UK. Note, if you're interested in purchasing all 8 of our Daily Stoic medallions, you can save 52% or dollars by clicking yeah. Not or, but yeah. This is what you can. Apparently, and I need to drink something today. I haven't drank anything today, which is not a good thing because I feel in my head like, you should drink something. And I'm also going to go through this article just because I see I'm having quite some time left and maybe there is something in it that is worth going through. Amor Fati, the immense power of learning to love your fate. I have Amor Fati tattooed on the side of my right forearm. When I went to have it done after a full year of consideration, the tattoo artist asked me which direction I would like to have it face. Toward me, I answered. Upside down? He responded, looking at me with that face my puppy makes when he hears something unfamiliar. Yes, I said, it's just a reminder to myself and really isn't meant for anybody other than me. Great choice, he replied with a knowing smile. Stoicism. Writing about Stoicism is complex. The principles are so simple but so difficult. It is always the doing that makes them more complicated than the learning. In The Obstacle is the Way, which is authored by Ryan Holiday. Author Ryan Holiday, proposes we develop the discipline of perception. He describes perception as how we see and understand what occurs around us and what we decide those events will mean. Through a process of multiple struggles and adverse situations, you can discipline yourself to see that you truly control my thoughts and actions. This process took on the same 3 steps that Holiday outlines in The Obstacle is the Way, which is, first of all, perception, second of all, action, and third of all, will, apparently. These 3 steps provide us a roadmap for dealing with adversity. As with any important lesson, it is best to learn, practice, and rehearse before you absolutely fucking need it. It counts, and the fucking is my addition. So when it counts is when you find out your infant son might have an illness that will deliberate him and ultimately kill him before he sees his 20th birthday, like I did. It is then when you have to look at your forearm, be reminded that you have a choice in how to perceive these events, and look in the mirror through tears and consider something. Maybe, just maybe, if he wasn't sick, I would have taken him for granted. Now I won't. Now I'll make every second count. I can choose to be grateful for 20 years fully lived with my son versus 60 years mostly wasted. Perception. Viktor Frankl, the author of Man's Search for Meaning, was a renowned psychologist focused on suicide prevention. In 1938, while living in Austria during the Nazi takeover, Frankl was prevented from treating Aryan patients due to his Jewish heritage. 4 years later, he, along with his wife and parents, was deported to a Nazi ghetto and later to Auschwitz and Dachau, 2 of the deadliest Nazi concentration camps. Frankl was the only member of his family to survive the war, with the sole exception of his sister. With his wife and parents dead at the hands of their Nazi oppressors, one might expect Frankl to be bitter or defeated, yet this was not so. Frankl urges us to understand, and this is a quote, "You cannot control what happens to you in life, but you can always control what you will feel and do about what happens to you." This was his secret to surviving the camps when so few others did. He took control over his perception. The secret. So often we want the secret, despite what the film of the same name may have told us. The secret is not mood boards, visualization, or the law of attraction. In fact, it is quite the opposite. Author Robert Greene tells us to, quote unquote, stop finishing for something else to happen, for a different fate, that is to live a false life. Often the wishing holds the doing. Simply visualizing a better state distracts us from taking the necessary steps to addressing our current state. And as Friedrich Nietzsche describes it, my formula for greatness in human being is Amor Fati, that one wants nothing to be different, not forward and not backward, not in all eternity, not merely bear what is necessary, still less conceal it, but love it. Greene continues, through Nietzsche I discovered Amor Fati. I just fell in love with the concept because the power that you can have in life of accepting your fate is so immense that it is almost hard to fathom. You feel that everything happens for a purpose and that it is up to you to make this purpose something positive and also active. We can choose, Amor Fati, to love our fate by first taking control over our perception and then by turning our new paradigm into action. Holiday writes, once you see the world as it is, for what it is, you must act. And the thing is, whatever it might be, apply Amor Fati. It's always good and it always puts you in a space of, okay, I just have to accept it. Like, it is what it is. I can do something about things. I can act against things, of course. But now at this point of time, whatever it is happening, whatever is going on, whether it is health-wise, whether it is just, mentally and spiritually and emotionally, whatever it might be going on, you can't do something about it. Unless you can just take some actions. But at this point in time, it is what it is. You are in this situation because of maybe decisions that you made the day before, because of some things that you can't control and whatnot. But now at this point in time, it is what it is. You have to act from this point on. No matter how angry you get, no matter how angry you are, you're still going to be the case. Action. Actions indicate priorities. No matter what, we always have a choice in perception and action. We haven't been raised this way, however. We are told to listen to others, follow the path, stay in our seats, and be quiet. It's no wonder that we look to others for direction and hope when we find ourselves victims of a terrible fate, when really it is who must make the choice to take action. Easier said than done, you say. Reading blogs and thinking these things doesn't compare to actually doing it when it counts. If that's what you're saying, you're right. You're absolutely right. The story above is about my son, and it is true. We found out a few brutal weeks later that he is not sick, as we first thought, and yet there was no relief. If his potential illness was neither good nor bad, and I could choose to love my fate, then I could still do the same now. I'm grateful for it as a lesson and on how savage this world can be. Will. You can't cry it away or eat it away or starve it away or walk it away or punch it away or even therapy it away. It's just there and you have to survive it. You have to endure it and you have to live through it and love it and move on and be better for it. Cheryl Strait. And this is wonderful. This is actually wonderful. Will is the ability to choose our perception and take what action we can even when the odds seem unsurmountable. I've learned this I learned this will myself through through repeated meditations, which led to repeated choice of perception and that led to repeated action in the face of obstacles. I've also learned it from the stories of those who came before me. Thomas Edison, at an age at which most of us would wish to retire, came home one late evening to eat dinner. A man burst into his home, interrupting him. He had dire news. There was a fire at his research facility. At age 67, Edison arrived on a scene to see his campus ablaze. One would imagine this is the point when Edison drops to his knees and screams out, "Why me?" or some other exclamation. However, Edison researched out his son and requested he got his mother. Edison excitedly told his son, "They will never see a fire like this again." Naturally, Edison's son thought he had lost his mind, and rightfully so. All of his experienced things that could likely never be replicated were burning to the ground. "Don't worry, it is all right," Edison said with calm. "We have just got rid of a lot of rubbish." In this, Edison revealed the true nature of Amor Fati, choosing to love your fate no matter what. Not only was he not broken-hearted, he was revitalized. Revitalized, in fact, that despite losing over 223 million in today's dollar, 1 million at the time, he was able to persevere and make over 200 million, 10 million then, which is amazing. Maybe you lost your job and your obstacle may appear to be easier than those mentioned above. Maybe your candidate lost an important election and your obstacle is far off and terrifying. Maybe you live in Aleppo and your obstacle may be far more grave and serious. No matter what your obstacle is, it is considerably inescapable and totally outside your control, and yet you're given a choice to greet it with a smile. Amor Fati. I'm writing this article for Daily Stoic and I hope that the editor receives it well and allows me to share it with you. It could also be met with a no, or seemingly worse, it could be totally ignored. And to most writers, the story would end there. But should it bump, the obstacle becomes the way. When I choose to see myself as fated to write this and submit it, I can love that fate. I can take action and love the process of writing and the clarity it provides. This article can also still be revised or revised and submitted again or elsewhere. It can be shared in my newsletter for entrepreneur dads. The goal of this article is not to teach you to be a cow standing in the rain, simply enduring and hoping to survive your fate. It is not to make you feel okay or even good when terrible things happen. It is to make you feel great, because as Holiday writes, if it happened then, it was meant to happen, and I'm glad that it did when it did, and I'm meant to make the best out of it. It is unnatural, I know, to feel gratitude for my son's terminal illness, but I chose to love it because it was fuel for me to push harder for financial independence. It was fuel for me to work harder when I wanted to quit, to spend time with him when I wanted to check my email, and to love him with all that I have. This is not free, but it is my choice. It can be yours as well. Amor Fati, friend. Brendan Hufford loves helping photographers learn how to market themselves at photomba.net. Wishes go out to this person. I hope that everything's fine and nice and good. But yeah, with that being said, very long episode once again. And the very recent times I tend to actually have long episodes, which is quite something interesting. The next episode is probably going to be about talking about things. Which I think is always something good, at least for me. I can't tell whether it is also something good for other people. But yeah, anyway, I wish you the best health of happiness and also success, and also hope that you're going to remind yourself and you're going to be remembered, which basically means your legacy, and basically means just being a nice person and being remembered as a nice person, which is a pretty cool thing. 3 other questions that I have you are: why are you here? What are you trying to change? And what is bothering you the most? These 3 questions are hopefully going to show you your purpose and maybe even a business idea, which is a pretty cool thing. 3 other questions that I have you are: why? One question is, what could you particularly say that is really going to change somebody's mind and life? What is it? What could you say? Anyway, Have a good life, and I'll see you.